I am going to stop my video because it's not about me. I want to focus on the slides. Um, Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me here, and thank you for having this event. I think it is an important conversation to have, the continuation of Elle-Marie's conversations. But also the timing is also perfect. Such a while afterwards, we've had chance to reflect and to digest and to revisit. And this publication, this special edition, and all the publications and everything that everybody's saying is just a beautiful moment. So I met Elle-Marie. I didn't work with her per se. I didn't study with her or all the other beautiful connections. We met at TAL, Teaching Advancement at Universities. We were part of the first cohort. And it was fabulous for Elle-Marie and I, two artists in the room, to converge at moments and chat and catch up and reflect and understand what was happening. She and I come from different sides of the arts, very much into artistic. I'm from performing arts, and she's definitely in the fine arts. And yet later we cross-pollinated and were able to find opportunities to play in each other's domains, or play more in those domains and interact. So when it came to me wanting to participate in this special edition, I really grappled with what is it that I could say and what is it I could reflect on. And the biggest thing that kept recurring for me is our conversations, is we didn't meet often. But when we did, it was a beautiful moment of just stepping back in and going down a rabbit hole and saying, remember when we talked about this, and this is what's come up because of it. And so the months in between felt like moments, and the snatched times that we had together in strange circumstances were always just so beautiful, and we could jump in and get going and talk. We didn't have to have revisiting introductions. So I wanted to make the article that I wrote pretty much a reflection of that, of those moments of connecting through time and space, through conversation, through dialogue that is not linear in any way, and is fraught with confusion and wanting things to emerge from that. So today I'm going to present it backwards. I'm going to present what we did backwards. Obviously, as a performing artist, this is not the comfortable space for me. I'd much rather be doing interpretive dance for you, but here we go. So basically, I invited Elle-Marie into a conversation, into continuing our conversation, and how would our conversation end? What would it look like if we could culminate all the ideas that we've passed by each other over the years, and what that might mean? Over the years, the entanglements were very evident in our parallel creative processes, where I was working with a lot of embodied and performing and applied theatre applications, and she was working with the artwork. She started to bring in the embodied and the physical and the applied theatre, the image theatre and things into her work, and I brought materials into mine. And so very much the embodied, and I don't need to elaborate too much on this, it's been said all morning, is the embodied constructs of embodied learning, being in the moment, being with what it is that you're doing, but wholeheartedly, holistically, completely immersed in it. Your mind-body connectivity is totally in tune. but it's not a comfortable space. And I keep writing down words that everybody had said today of this uncomfortableness. And I use the word frictional. So it is a frictional space. The artistic moment is frictional, but it's an encounter. So at the end of the day, I came with selfie, the embodied learning, which is enhanced by the creative act that can be used in conjunction with the frictional artistic encounter. And there's three components that come with it. And again, it's a revisiting of everything that everybody said this morning. These three elements are present in everything that Elmarie had done and meant and engaged with, and so was really resonant with what came out, with how I reflected on it. The artist as the creative act. And the artist is very much the artivist, which is using the mode of the art making and the art being, and using it to disrupt and bring around change and healing and thinking. Then you have the spect actor as resonant witness, and I'm going to unpack these more. And the spect actor comes from Boal. He's Augusto Boal is a Brazilian theatre maker, and created theatre of the oppressed. And he created this term spect actor, so no longer just a spectator, but a person that is participating and engaging and is present with the work that is being presented and is part of the offering. And then finally, the environment as an interaction space. Now, all of these terms and things I've interwoven Elmarie's writings and with her colleagues, and I acknowledge everybody that wrote with her and reflected with her. So I used her writing as her voice. So I would cite her from various aspects and use those moments of realizations and insights as footholds to perhaps reflect and to get to this point. So the artist as the creative act, at the end of the day, it's Duchamp, apologies for pronunciation, who spoke of the artists themselves being the creative act. And it speaks back to creative identity making, and how we are all creatives as individuals, as human beings. We are all creative beings. And creativity is inherent in all of us, just by the mere fact of us doing and thinking and being able to logically find ways of fixing and amending and innovative thought processes, to very, very mundane things, personal rituals during the day, to quite complex thinking and ways of viewing the world and the space around us. And so some take that on and acknowledge that they are the full artist, and so take that creativity to the extent and label themselves as the artist, who practices the engagement with the world through the lens of inter-artistic processes. So, but as such, the art is undeniable benefits for those who practice it. But more than that, I think it is relevant in everything that's been said this morning about Elmarie, about her presence, just her being in the room changed things, just her way of thinking, just her processes, and a way of approaching things and saying things. So the artists themselves just being present is disruptive, has a ripple effect to everybody else in the space. And when the artist is bringing their creativity and artwork to change, to thoughts of transforming places and spaces, they become artivists, where art is the ability to change our minds, inspiring us to take on different perspectives, to reimagine our worlds. So the artivist, the artist who purposefully harnesses the art's utility in activism. And it always sounds activism that it needs to be so big and dramatically engaged with, and yet we see how it can be done gently and persuasively and through just process and engagement. So the spectator needs to be there. I've already spoken about who the spectator is. They need to be the participant, the person in the room. There needs to be persons in the room, and what that means to them, what they're bringing into the space, what they're leaving out, what it is for them as human being. So almost an unmaking. So not the creative identity making, but a creative identity unmaking, to see what's not there and to understand what it is and how they perceive things. They're immersed in the participation. So Anne Bogart, a contemporary theatre maker, refers to the perception of receiving and dialogical exchange as the art of resonance, where one energetic being influences the vibration of others. She goes on to acknowledge the morphic resonance that comes from a space and people in it that resonate and engage. It's because of the people in the room. It's because of how they think and how they feel. Sometimes we're tapping into just the non-verbal that unlocks or engages with something in us that triggers something that spirals and we're able to engage with. So takes the resonance concept further, that includes a notion of repeated spaces in time, in term accentuating the environment as the third and vital participant in the process. So the immersion of the spectators is to allow for the blending of perspective forming. One of the objectives of embodied in learning and things is to change our perspective, is to change our way of seeing and thinking and feeling and doing, so bringing in all the sensory awarenesses. Which further advocates for the rhizomatic context for embodied frictional artistic encounters. So the environment is the third and vital participant in all of this, and it's the interaction spaces. What is left? What is the space bringing also to the party? It is very much a presence in the room, or it is the room that is creating the presence for the rest of us to entangle our presence with. And all of that brings about other thought processes and in engagements. The environment, further, what is clear with the environment is that it's an essential participant for supporting the artistic encounter as either a frictional instigator. Sometimes we go to places and it's because of, and we heard from Fadil, because of the space and because of what's in the space and its history, and the hauntology that was spoken about earlier of the space, that's the frictional instigator. Or perhaps the space, the environment is the refuge as a care-filled space and should have the potential to hold the dynamics, to transform and to hold space for healing. And I'm so grateful that Fadil mentioned also the healing construct, because it was one of the things that every people grappled with when I write about healing. What do I mean? And healing is obviously got so many layers and so many depths, but healing is the creative identity unmaking. It makes you realize that you'd be afraid of losing yourself by trying to please everyone. So what is it in yourself, and seeing and sitting with the dark spaces and the shadows, and seeing and acknowledging them, not wallowing in them, not purposefully changing them, just acknowledging them, seeing them for what they are, that there has presence, and in giving them presence and space in the room, we are giving them an opportunity to heal us, to change us, because our experiences cannot be undone. Whatever we're doing, just being here today, and this whole experience is an experience that will change us. So I'm not going to go too deep, because I think we've all been speaking about the embodiment, the aesthetic embodiment, and the embodied learning aspects are all very vital. And Elmarie's voice is loud and clear in her publications on this. But the perspective forming is the identity unmaking moments. That's the focus that I want to bring, where the alternative ways of thinking and being in the world speaks directly to change agency, collective and collaborative learning, as well as embodied learning. So the creative dialogical exchange and creative identity unmaking, where if we go back to this fact that everybody essentially is an artist because of their creativity, creative identity, and how they use their creativity, that if they just bring it into the room and give into it, just be with it. We spoke a lot about, everybody spoke a lot about doing and being and engaging with. There were lovely papers that described all of that, but just to be with it is engaging your creativity. This is the one moment that I really liked, is the perspective forming, which is taken from awakening doubt. So it is not the moment of doubt making, but it is the moments before. It's the invoking or the evoking of doubt that is important. So philosophers have grappled with the concepts of skepticism and doubt, but what Southworth suggests is that it's not the doubt itself or the negating thereof that should be the focus, but the arousal of doubt. The evoking feelings of doubt will all allow the questioning of beliefs and actions, which in turn may affect transformation. The provocation towards doubt may best be aroused through perspective forming experiences. It is the freedom the arts perspectives allow that changes it. And I think everybody spoke this morning of, wow, Elmarie came and suggested we do this, and there was this doubt, this uncomfortableness, this not feeling a discomfort, not feeling safe in the space, but not being unsafe, because realizing that you're held and the space is allowing for this. And so just to give into it, just to jump in. As artists, that's what we do. We jump in with everything and then we think. And so we feel first, and we understand through our feelings and our being, and then doing. So to invite other people in to awaken that doubt, but not just awaken it, but to actually action it. So Elmarie talks of doing this where we take the perspective forming and how it forms a role and a experiential encounter with everybody and everybody in the room. And everybody's so surprised at what comes out of it. And yet I feel so honored and privileged again to think that that's what we do in arts. We get into an empty room and we make something, and we just allow that to happen. So it's fabulous when other people also get to experience that. So the new knowledges and ways of knowing could include embodied and the way Elmarie always said, embrained knowing and new insights and realizations. So the creativity identity unmaking affords agency and transformative, transgressive learning, where the participants resonate with the involvement and aesthetic witnessing, which induces perspective forming experiences that may be harnessed for learning towards change, towards undoing and healing. Just understanding self, being with self, acknowledging, accepting is healing. And if we do it, the ripple effects go out. So if we do it with others.
Mel, I just want to ask you, is now the latest that you can play?
Yes. Hi, sorry, there's interruptions.
No.
Sorry, there's a whole
discussion all right,
happening in the discussion. Sorry, Nikki, is that you?
No, it's not. I don't know what it was.
So everybody, the emergent participants of embodied frictional artistic encounters are forever altered by their experience. They cannot unlearn or unhear or unsee what they've experienced. They have changed. We have changed just by being in the moment. Creativity opens the spaces to be seen and to be heard, thereby activating transformation. So embracing creative embodied learning, CEL, within co-created embodied frictional artistic encounters. So specifically creating those frictional moments, those evocative moments of doubt, of discomfort, towards having an encounter and an artistic change occurs, comes the term selfie. The results in the use of creativity and embodied learning as invoking transformative and healing spaces. It's important to know that selfie has a link to what we all know as selfies. We all take selfies. So a selfie is a self-portrait, but it could also have multiple subjects, so multiple people within the picture with you, as long as the photo is taken by one of the subjects that is featured, it becomes a selfie. So the link to a lingo that we know is and are familiar with is useful to see the effect, because it's a very individual effect within it's a personal within a public space. It's a personal engagement. It's a personal reflection within a public encounter. So with that, it was very awesome to revisit Elmarie and Elmarie's thought processes, and to find the parallels between hers and mine, and find the footholds in our conversations, and to find possible ending to what we've done. So I invited Elmarie in, and I think this comes from both of us to share. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Janine. We've got a few minutes before the next speakers. So does anyone want to ask a question or make a comment, Janine?
I think I just really like the word friction, frictional. as a new way to think about Elmary's work.
Do you want to come here and say it? Because did you hear that, Janine?
Yes, I could hear that. And
Okay.
it's beautiful. Yeah, because I think, and she and I've often spoken about that, how just by us as artists being in a space, we are frictional. And yet we don't come in with that intention, but we often create friction just by being. Yeah. Uncomfortableness.
I think it brings in the aspect of discomfort, but also of aliveness, that a sense of electricity, of making connections, but not always comfortable ones. So it's just a really nice word. Thank you for that. I'm going to use it as well and work with it. Really a nice theme to work with.
Any other last questions or comments for Janine?
If I could just say, I know that, and I did it when we were invited to talk as an advert or a motivation to what we have written for online. I acknowledge that the convolutions, and to perhaps start in a different place, start in a place, read Elmary's words, and then sit and ponder with them and let them sink in. And I think that's the value of what we're doing here today. Thank you.